All right, traders, the green streak continues. I ended up doing 3 trades in the morning. All of them were call options and all of them were nice quick wins, making nearly $10,000 in profit. Then later into the day, I was trying to buy call options at my lower level in the 421s and it just wasn't working out. Calls began to not work out later throughout the day. So I did get back $6,000 in profits, leaving me up $4,000 on the day. And then I decided to walk away from there. Towards the end of this video, I'm going to be recapping today's trades, price action on the market. This is going to help give you a better understanding on how I was able to have a successful green day despite the massive crash doing call options at my key levels. I'm also going to be starting off this video hot with a very important update, guys. The market had a crazy move to the downside today. That pattern that I was looking at on the daily chart did not repeat itself, and I was able to identify the levels that I should be buying call options at, and I was able to identify to not get trapped in calls. It ended up working out great, scalping against the trend very, very quickly. I entered calls in the morning. They went up over 100%. I sold very quickly for a little bit over a 25% profit return, a $4,000 profit. I'll be going over that all towards the end of this video. But look, man, we have to discuss the new update because I'm seeing amazing trading opportunities heading into tomorrow where we're going to capitalize on the market. So let's get straight into it. So in terms of the patterns, the daily patterns that I've been looking at have not been repeating. But I trade what I see. I don't blindly trade based off of patterns. I bring awareness to patterns. And if I see a confirmation as the candlesticks are moving that pattern's going to repeat itself, then I'll enter the trade, right? So in terms of what I'm seeing right now, the chart is not trying to repeat itself, but I'm going to break this down for you so you understand what I mean by that. This is the monthly chart. I showed you guys earlier in the beginning of this month that this was a pattern right here. You could see the 2 bearish pointing up candlesticks, the 2 bearish pointing up candlesticks. There's some similarities to a sense. What did SPY do the next month? It bottomed slightly above the previous month and then it ended up spiking. As you can see, there's a slight difference. It's already cracking through. So that pattern on the monthly chart is not repeating itself and SPY is trying to go bearish here. And then another pattern that I was looking at was this one. You can see right here, we had a big bearish month and then the next month it opened up strong and ended up bottoming above the previous month's lows. So you can see right here, you have the same type of candlestick and the opposite is happening. The SPY is trying to form resistance at the previous closing month and it's already cracking through the lows. So those patterns that I pointed out are not repeating itself, but that doesn't mean that I'm red because I don't trade blindly based off of patterns. So with that being said, those monthly patterns where SPY was supposed to go bullish is technically not repeating itself. So I will keep aware of that it's no longer repeating itself in a sense. Now, this is what I'm seeing in terms of the daily chart. Based off of this daily pattern in terms of tomorrow, if the SPY opens up strong, it's spiking, it's going bullish, it's above the gap, it's supposed to have a nice green day. Now, if the SPY cracks 421.59, turns it into resistance, what's supposed to happen is it's supposed to go bearish and drop first, then have a bullish recovery. So those are the 2 patterns that I'm seeing. And that's going to be based off of the pre-market price action along with the opening price on how we're responding to 421.60. So what I'm telling you is if it's forming a floor, if it's opening up strong at 421.60, if it's gapping up nicely, it's likely going to have a bullish day. Now, if 421.60 cracks, reacts as a resistance, it should drop first and continue to drop. And then later on throughout the day, when calls start to become worthless and when the key levels that we're interested in buying calls at hit, it's likely going to bottom and have a bullish recovery. Those are the 2 patterns that I'm seeing based off of the daily chart. Now, I will not blindly trade those patterns, but I will be aware of those 2 patterns heading into tomorrow. And I know how to capitalize off those patterns. I know how to trade what I see. I know how to identify if a pattern's repeating itself. We'll go over that towards the end of this video so you understand what I'm talking about. Now, what are the key levels for calls? So if the SPY turns 421.60 into resistance, it's opening up bearish, it's not looking bullish, these will be my key levels for calls. Very, very simple. I will keep an eye on $420. If you guys watched my videos that I made last week, I told you $420 was an amazing level to buy calls. That was literally the lows on the day. That was such a good trading opportunity for call options. I literally said it was the best one. It was going to spike first. That ended up working out, right? But with that being said, I'm keeping an eye on 420, but it already bounced, so I'm not too interested in it. The true level that I would be interested in call options would be these 2. This is the best one possible. And I would even consider swing trading call options if we hit this level this week. But this would be my best level possible for call options heading into this week. So write this down, $416.80. This right here is the low of June 1st, 2023, 416.80. When those 417 calls go out of the money, they're going to start to spike back in the money, and it's likely going to be a good swing trading opportunity. If I see a trend reversal daily candlestick or a bullish daily candlestick right before the market closes, I will be interested in swing trading calls from that level. So 416.80 is my new best level for calls. The problem with 420 is it already bounced nicely. You guys know, if you watch the previous videos, I love the idea of buying calls at 420, but it already bounced nicely. So it is what it is. 416.80 is my true best level. Now I have a bonus level, but I don't value this to be the best. The reason why that was the best is because it's the monthly lows that have not been tested that triggered a major bear trap with big upside potential, right? Plus, we're supposed to spike. If the SPY goes bearish first, we're supposed to spike at that level, and that'd be an amazing level. Now, the other potential level that it can spike at is going to be the following. Now, again, this isn't the best one. This is just something I will be keeping an eye on. We have a lot of support towards this 417.60 to 418.60 zone. But again, it's not the best and it's nothing special. It's just something I'm keeping an eye on. 417.60 and 418.60. That's some key support, but it's not the best. So I gave you the best level for calls and what I'll be looking at. Now, with that being said, in terms of if the SPY is gapping up and we're going super bullish and it's having a nice move up, then I will be looking at 421.60. I'll be keeping an eye on this 421.60. But this is what I need you to understand. The market had such a big move. There's going to be great levels to short the market and buy put options. So the lower levels is going to be called scalping against the trend, meaning SPY can potentially go overall bullish at these levels, but when it hits these levels for the first time, it's going to try to drop first. So if you get in first for a quick scalp, you can make a very nice 10, 20, 30% return on zero dates very, very quickly within minutes. So these are my new levels for puts. In terms of put options, my first level for put options and to go short is going to be right here at $422 in like 30 cents, 422.40. We have some key previous support that has not been tested right here. There's also a little open gap. It's going to try to drop first towards that 422.40 level, right? Let me show you what it is that I'm talking about. You can see there was a little open gap right here. See the little open gap, and then it sold off. When it retested that open gap, it began to sell off again. So you're going to see right here, there's another open gap. See how it looks identical? There's a little open gap right here. Then it began to sell off again. So it's going to try to drop first when it tests this previous support to turn it into resistance to react as a new lower high. This would be our lowest level possible to buy put options and short the market at $422.40. I will be keeping an eye on that level. I like it. Now, the next level for puts, this is a bonus one. I'm just keeping an eye on it. I think it already played out in a sense, so I don't value this to be anything special. I'm keeping an eye on 424. What I dislike about it is I do believe the level already played out. As you know, we wanted to buy calls at 424.60. That was our key level for calls. It was literally the low of the day on the morning. I ended up buying calls very, very early in the morning. They spiked 100% in less than 10 minutes. I sold for a 25% profit return as soon as I got in, as soon as it broke above the pre-market high and formed a floor. And they spiked literally 25% in 3 minutes. And then 10 minutes later, they spiked 100%. Then the market crashed with the 10 a.m. news, right? That was such a great trade on calls. That put me up very, very nicely on the day. But the point is, 424.50, very strong support, has cracked. So like I tell you all the time, when key support cracks, pre-market lows, 424.20, when it cracks, wait for it to spike back up. When you see the first red candle, previous support supposed to react as a resistance, go short on the market. You should have considered shorting the market and doing put options right here. I was actually in calls. This was my second trade. I bought calls at the pre-market low because the SPY bottomed at the pre-market low yesterday, and it was at 424 key support. So I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. I bought calls right here. As soon as I got in, the SPY dropped 80 cents. I added on the low of this dip very, very nicely. I added more than I put in at the higher price. It's a better price. And then as soon as it spiked back to 424.50 to my initial first entry, I made a $4,000 profit because I added. Instead of just being at break even, I added very, very nicely. And I knew it was going to try to drop and turn this previous support into resistance because the SPY already cracked that level. Meaning when it cracks this support, it's supposed to drop first and react as a resistance. So I sold my calls at the exact peak. Then the market sold off. So keep an eye on that level, but it's nothing special because it already played out, right? You got to play it the first time. This is the best levels. The best level to short and buy put options. Again, you just got to wait until these price alerts trigger. We got price alerts set at all these levels. They're all strategically planned. You just got to wait to trade the best setups to this prices. It could take days. It could take weeks. I'm giving you the best level possible. This is an amazing level that should work. I drew a little rectangle here because it's a zone. You see the difference? I didn't draw a line this time. So this is the zone. You have support right here at $426. You have more support right here at $426.20. The higher level is always the best, but you don't want to nickel and dime it, so you take starters at the lower level. And then you add into confirmations when you see confirmations to add, and you're always getting in close to the price or when you're just down a little bit, right? So the point being is the SPY triggered a major bull trap. Look at the extended hours low. The extended hour low was 426.40. The market cracked that 426.40 level. It bottomed at our key 424 level where we were interested in buying calls. And as you know, if it spikes right back up to that previous support, which was right here, 426.40, this is where, the trap was triggered, they're going to try to turn it into resistance. So this would be a very ideal level to short the market, 426 to 426.20. This support has not been tested, right? So it hasn't been tested in a sense. When the SPY cracked this support, it just cracked through. So it's going to try to react as a resistance and drop first. That's a great level for puts. Our next level for puts would be the gap, 427.31. There is a gap to fill above at 427.31. As you know, when the SPY has a big gap down and it traps all of the bulls, what do we like to do? We like for it to continue to drop and to sell off for multiple days. The bigger the drop, the better. The bigger the sell off, the better, right? And then what do we want to happen from there? We want it to recover. We want it to recover just as fast as it dropped. And then the most likely outcome is when the gap was formed at 427.30, where all the bulls got trapped, all the swing traders, all the coin tossers, all the gamblers got trapped, right? Flipping the coin. We're going to do puts and we're going to short the market because it's going to try to drop first, even if it goes bullish. It's just common sense, man. We just did this same strategy at 432. It was in my videos. You're going to see I'm going to upload a short on YouTube. My editor edited it for me. You're going to see that's going to be a great clip teaching you strategy. But this, man, this is the golden setup. The SPY gap down from $432. It had a 2-day sell-off, dropped all the way to 422, a 10-point drop from the gap. And then it recovered 2 days later, a 10-point spike. As soon as it filled the gap, that's where you short the market and buy put options, man. It's common sense. Think about it. If you bought calls here and it dropped 10 points and then it spiked back up 10 points, would you double down and say it's going bullish and say it's going to break out? Or would you sell your calls and switch to puts? I would do puts and short the market. It's just common sense, man. Gap, close, reversals. We're going to do the same exact strategy at 427.30. So don't miss it. That's the free money play. That's the best setup at the best price. That's the household name. That's the trading opportunity that's going to make people watching this video over $1,000 on one single trade that nobody else is teaching you. So remember it and put yourself in a position where you are disciplined enough to trade that level with some size. That's a day trading level. That's the best setup at the best price. How many losers are going to watch this video being incompetent and making bad trades, and then when it hits the best level, they're not going to have the capital for it. They're going to blow up their account, right? They're going to give it all to us. We know what we're doing, man. 427.30, we're hitting puts. That's the new best level for puts. Now, in terms of above that, I'll give you some bonus levels real quick. These are more for the future. So let's take a look at the chart. You have some pre-market resistance at 428.50. You can keep an eye on that. You also have some more pre-market resistance that hasn't been tested at 430. Those would be our overall next levels to scalp and do put options. But I gave you the best one. So look, man, that's our plan. That's how we're going to trade the best setups at those prices. Now, in terms of just quick price action and quick recap, as you can see right here, so if we go to the key levels, this was the trading plan that I posted the night before. So the daily pattern says SPY will have a bullish day if we can turn 427.30 into support. So it did not turn it into support. As you can see, it couldn't do it. It just cracked through in the pre-market. So that means that it's not going to have a bullish day. So you should have known that if you actually watch the videos and you understand what is that we're doing. It failed to turn the previous closing price into support, so it's not going to have a bullish day. And in terms of just more common sense that it was going to continue to drop, extended hours gives this all away. If you guys understand how to actually trade what you see, we go over this all within Trader Society in real time. There's support at 426.40. It cracked the support and sold off hard. So if it spikes back up to that support at 426.40, it's going to try to react as a resistance and sell off, which it did. So then if it cracks 424.20 support, like it did right here, and then it spikes back up, what do you think it's going to do? The same thing it did in the pre-market. It's going to turn into resistance, the new lower high, continue to drop. It's common sense, man. 427.30 couldn't turn into support. Therefore, that bullish pattern that I identified is not working out. It's not repeating itself. So I'm going to trade what I see with the charts. Now, in terms of what I did, this is what I did. I had plans for calls. So 424.60 was key support. That ended up working out. I did very, very well on that. It was literally the morning lows. The morning lows was at 426.85. I hit that level. I made $4,000. The calls went up 100% in less than 10 minutes from my alert. Our next level was 423.80 to 423.40 zone. That level worked as well. If you would have traded it for a quick scalp, the first time it hit, it had a nice bounce. As you can see right here, if we go to 423.80, let's see. So right here, if you go to 423.80, you can visually see it had a small little drop, and then the bottom was 423.40s, literally in our zone, and then it spiked to 424.60. I hit that trade, and I made another $4,000 profit doing that, all alerted in time. Two of my key levels made me $8,000 in just 30 minutes of trading. And I was going against the trend. I was going against the overall trend, making quick snipes within minutes, 20, 30, 40% returns, man. And then you have all these people watching these videos, they just don't get it. They don't know how to set up their platform where they can scalp like a sniper and get filled instantly. They don't know how to get in and get out within minutes. It's possible. This little spike right here, this little move right here from 423.50 to 424.60, if you caught at the bottom at my zone the first time it hit like I planned for, guess what? That's over 30% return. Every $10,000 in contracts is a $3,000 profit in 4 single minutes. This stuff works. You just have to know how to scalp like a sniper. That's what I do. I make money at the speed of light. As soon as it hits my target, it's sold off hard and continue to go lower. As it should. The trend was bearish, but the strategy still worked. That's the beauty of my strategy, man. I can make money against the overall trend because I know how to actually trade. Unlike all these other losers who are holding hopes. So that level worked as well. I explained all these levels in yesterday's videos. This level is where I lost some money on. 421.70 to 422.30. I kept trying to buy calls at this level, giving back a couple $1,000s, and then it finally worked out later on when it pushed lower. I did make some money back on that, but I finished the day up $4,000. At the peak, I was up 10K. Then I gave some money back. Also, I had very poor sleep. I was doing very, very well in the morning, trading my key levels. I felt fairly well, even though I didn't sleep for the entire day. And then as the day was dragging on, it was mentally affecting me. And I told myself, I just gave back 6K. I feel like shit. I have to call it here. And then I just walked away from there. So you do have to get some sleep in a sense. Ideally, you're going to want to get 4 to 6 hours. I mean, that's all you really need in a sense. Or you can do 7 to 8. But for me, all I really need is like 6 hours. So yeah, man. Well, in terms of trading, 4 hours, right? In terms of like doing other shit, then like 6 to 7 hours. So with that being said, those were the overall trades that worked out with our key levels. Now, if you go to, the alerts, this is all alerted in real time. This is the first trade that I made on the day. 9:41 a.m., 425 calls. This is me trading my plan. Why did I decide to buy calls there? Because I told you in yesterday's video, the SPY is going to try to spike first when it hits this key support that has not been tested. Look at all the wicks. All of the wicks was at 424.50, which is why I said I'm interested in buying calls there, right? And I wasn't interested in buying calls at higher levels because 427.30 failed to turn into resistance. It does not matter if I see a bullish or bearish pattern. I trade what I fucking see. That's what people don't understand, man. So understand how to use these videos and how to trade. Now, with that being said, what I want you to understand is, in terms of why I bought slightly higher, is this. I was looking at pre-market resistance. And the pre-market resistance that I was looking at was right here at 425.20. So I noticed right here, that it was bottoming at my key support level, so it's trying to go bullish, and SPY has some potential to spike nicely and start to fill the gap if it goes bullish, and there was a gap to fill at 427.30. I don't like buying puts and short in the market when SPY gaps down. I like looking for call opportunities to play for the gap to fill above and just sell into the moves using my strategic strategies. So when it broke above this pre-market resistance, I told myself, not only is it breaking above, but the lows of these 1 minute candles are at the previous resistance. That means that previous resistance is now forming a floor and forming support. So at 9:41 a.m., literally right here on the lows of this candle, I decided to buy calls. Why did I wait until right here? Because look, the SPY was forming a floor at pre-market resistance, and it began to push higher. So I noticed it was breaking out higher. It was consolidating at the previous resistance level. So when I saw it drop back down to the support, that gave me confidence to buy calls, because not only was it forming the floor, but it was pushing higher. See how it pushed higher above here? It was trying to push higher, right? So I told myself, it's time to buy calls. As soon as I bought those calls, they went from $1.40 to $1.80 in 3 minutes. And look at how quick I sell. That was alerted at 9:41 a.m. Calls were at $1.40. I sold them in the 180s. That's a 25% return, I think. Very, very nice trade there. And I literally said right here, once pre-market highs turns into support, it's going to begin to fill the gap. SPY is supposed to get new highs on the day like Apple just did. I was looking at Apple thanks to GWAR, and I saw Apple was pushing for new highs, and I said this looks just like SPY. So the way I took it was the SPY is delayed right now, and it's going to do what Apple just did, which is to push for new highs. And shortly enough, it did. 3 minutes later, I sold my calls for a $4,000 profit. And everyone banked on that, man. That was such a phenomenal trade. And then my second trade, and look at this, man. I post a message, and by the way, we have an Instagram account now. If you're interested in seeing behind the scenes what goes on within the community, within the chat, and see the results that we're getting, and if you want to expand more education, it's going to be in the description. I have an Instagram account now for the company of Trader Society. Me personally, I live a private life, but in terms of the company, we do have an Instagram account for that now. So if you want to check that out, it's in the description. You'll see it. Now, with that being said, so that level worked out, the 426.40 key support level. And then I ended up, so you can see right here how many people just made $500, literally nearly the cost of Trader Society one-time fee. Over 20 people just off that one trade made $500. Just off that one trade, just $10,000 like that. And that's just the one who voted. We had plenty of people make more money than that. But with that being said, I had another trade on calls. So right here, I entered 424 calls at 10:05 a.m. So I entered calls at 10:05 a.m., which was right here at $424. That was lower than my key level to buy calls. Now, the reason why I did that is because it was at pre-market lows. The SPY had pre-market support and pre-market lows right here. And what I did was I noticed it was at my key support level, but I didn't like it because it already bounced and worked at my key support level. I only like playing it the first time. It's special when it tests the first time. When it already works out, it's not special. So the main reason why I did it was this. I looked and I said, this is slanted sideways, and there was a lot of pre-market support at 426 yesterday in the pre-market. So I said, I'm going to try some calls here. I just made 4K. I'll risk a little bit of my profit. I'm going to try buying some calls at the pre-market lows because yesterday the SPY bottomed at the pre-market lows. That was the main reason why. But I want you to understand that there was nothing special about that trade. That was literally, in a sense, just like a lotto trade. Nothing special in a sense, right? But what I did was I bought calls there. And then as soon as I bought my calls at 424, the SPY dropped to 423.40. And what I remembered was my next key level for calls was right here at 423.80 to 423.40. So I told myself, since I got in towards a higher entry at 424, I'm going to have to add towards the lower part, which is 423.40. And I kept on adding, and that trade worked out extremely well for me. I kept on adding to calls. As you can see right here, 10:08 a.m., I was adding to 424 calls. See, repeat of yesterday, people were catching on what I was doing. I added more calls at 10:10 a.m., and this was the heavy ad at 10:10 a.m. This was the heavy ad because at 10:10 a.m., look at the price. It's exactly at my key level, 423.50. And then right here at 10:08 a.m., where I added the exact lows. When this slanted sideways like this, downtrending like this, it's going to try to bottom at my key level. So shortly enough, my next zone to buy call options worked out, and this spiked from 423.50 to 424.60. And I sold those calls at the exact peak. Look at this. I sold my calls at 10:12 a.m. You go to 10:12 a.m. right here. I sold them at the exact peak. The reason why I was able to sell the exact peak, first of all, I'm a scalper. If I'm buying close at 424 and then I add very, very nicely at 423.50, I'm selling those 424 calls as soon as they go in the money. That's very nice profit. You can do like 30% plus return on that quickly, right? But this was the main reason why I sold. It was because of this right here. The SPY had support at 424.30, 424.60. It cracked that support. So when it spikes back up after bottoming from our key level where we were interested in buying calls, it's going to try to turn this previous support into resistance. Plus, it spiked the dollar so quickly. So the most logical thing you could do is sell and take the profit. That's how I'm able to be so successful. I take my profit, and you have to use profit stops if you're holding. If you are holding day trades, you need to use profit stops. Research profit stops. I personally do not really use them too much because I'm a scalper. I sell super quickly. I don't even need it in that sense. But if you're a day trader or you're leaving runners on, use profit stops. If you have a profit stop on and you're green on a trade, you cannot go red. It's impossible. If you're already green and you set a profit stop, you cannot flip red. So use that as well. We have this, man. It's all within Trader Society. We teach people how to trade, how to scalp like snipers, how to day trade. I'm telling you, for those of you who are new here, go to the trading mindset section. This is where I'm posting some of my best mindset training. So make sure you go here, man. This is one of the best traders we have in Trader Society. He's the person who literally helped create, he created the SPY and SPX trading floor. He's the reason why we're all trading SPY and SPX floor. This guy right here. And he uses profit stops. You have to set profit stops if you're day trading. I don't have to set them because I train myself to just sell quickly. I know exactly where I'm going to sell. Basically, where do you sell? When I'm green, I fucking sell. When I'm up, I sell, right? I have a sense, though, on where I'm going to sell. It's not just when I'm green, I sell, but I sell super quick. It's like 3 to 5 minutes. And like I said, 20, 30, 40% returns that quickly. Every $10,000 in, $3,000, $4,000 back in minutes. In minutes, I can do that multiple times a day. Sometimes I could do that 10 times a day. So I'm going to leave it off at that. We all have different styles. For those of you who are new, make sure you read this trading mindset section. Go back, read everything. It's going to help you a lot as well. But with that being said, man, I'm going to be signing off. And then from there, I just did some calls at lower levels and it just wasn't working out. And I gave back $6,000. It is what it is. In terms of Trader Society, in terms of the polls, it was decent. In terms of if we were to compare to other teams, it's amazing. But it wasn't our best day for the polls. I'm not sure why so many people were red. Maybe they didn't take the trades in the morning and maybe they just waited to trade, towards the end of the day. Because later into the day, I did have some small losses and I did give back $6,000 of my $10,000 profit in total. I had another one after that. Then I started giving back profits and I noticed that me not having any sleep was kicking in and making me trade very, very poorly, along with SPY just wasn't working at my lower key level, which really pissed me off. So I said, you know what? It's time to just walk away. I had some losses at the lower level and then I had a win at the lower level. And then I just walked away. So I will say if you were trading towards the middle of the day, like past, I would say, if you were trading past 11 a.m., I would say it was very difficult to trade. It was very difficult, in my opinion, to be trading. The price action was absolutely terrible past 11 a.m. The only good play, for the most part, in my opinion, the main one, was just calls at that 420 level. And I don't think many people expected us to hit 420 today. But the point is, I did make in my videos that 420 would be the best level possible for calls. I did say that in my videos. So if you played that, congrats. I didn't because I called it for the day and up green. But with that being said, man, look, if you're serious about investing into yourself and making Q4 the best trading quarter you've ever made it and laying down the proper foundations to set you up success for 2024, I would encourage you to click that first link down below in the description. It's a one-time fee. It's lifetime access. You can join Trader Society. You can trade with us live every single day, be surrounded by the right network, be surrounded by multimillionaires who are crushing the SPY every single day, trading both ways. G-Roar absolutely crushed it today. I did extremely well in the morning, and then towards the middle of the day, I was slacking. I was giving back gains. I wasn't trading too well, but I was stopping out very, very quickly. I was sizing in kind of big. That's why I gave back some of the profit. But overall, this was a great day for me, especially speaking for the morning. But G-Roar absolutely crushed it today. Big shout out to him. And I'm telling you, man, if you're serious about making money, this is what we do. We take money out of the market. So if you want to learn how we do it and you want to trade with us in real time, every single trade I alert's real time, it's the first link down below in the description. If you're serious about taking money out of the market, I'm going to leave it off at that.